Right? You make her happy, so you'll be all right.
And happy wife normally is about happy life for me.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It ain't about her, it's about you.
So Van says that because Jewish people showed up for Black Americans during the Civil Rights era, he now feels compelled to stand with them now. Let me be clear.
What's the white liberal ideology I'm following?
I'm not saying you.
No, that's what you said. So I'm saying, which one?
No one is free until we are all free. There is no room for any injustice.
Right? You make her happy, so you'll be all right.
And happy wife normally is about happy life for me.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It ain't about her, it's about you.
So Van says that because Jewish people showed up for Black Americans during the Civil Rights era, he now feels compelled to stand with them now. Let me be clear.
What's the white liberal ideology I'm following?
I'm not saying you.
No, that's what you said. So I'm saying, which one?
No one is free until we are all free. There is no room for any injustice.
Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. It's time for the War on Gaza report. Today, Israel's war on Gaza has reached day 229. Day 229. And as always, we'll give you the latest updates. We'll give you the biggest breakdowns. We'll give you the most information possible so that you can have an informed understanding that goes beyond corporate media narratives, that goes beyond mainstream news outlets, but instead offers a sophisticated, critical, honest, principled breakdown of everything going on in the Gaza Strip right now. And as always, we begin with the numbers. At least 35,709 people have been killed and 79,990 people have been wounded in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7th. The death toll in Israel from Hamas's October 7th attack stands at 1,139, with dozens still held captive. The numbers, as always, are escalating. They're not getting better. They're not getting faster, or slower, rather, in terms of their rate. This is incredibly challenging. This is incredibly difficult to process, incredibly difficult to manage, because these are real numbers. These are real people. These aren't aggregates. These aren't symbolic numbers. This isn't some historical issue from the past that we're still navigating. This is an active, present, ongoing genocide that continues to escalate every single day because of the actions of the Israeli military, the Israeli government, and the complicity of many people around the world. Right now, in Gaza, we have to look in the north and the south. There are intense street battles that are continuing in Rafah, which is in the south, as well as Jabalia, which is in the north. Israeli troops have advanced in both areas, and many civilians are terrified. They are literally reporting that they are afraid that the tanks and the troops and the guns are going to kill them, and that they have absolutely no recourse but to flee. But as you see in Rafah, when they flee, there's nowhere to go, or the next place becomes just as dangerous. People fled to Rafah 3, 4, 5 months ago, and now they're fleeing from Rafah. Jabalia camp is being hit. Other camps have been hit. This is a very dangerous moment and a very dangerous time in the north and in the south. The north at one point was just a site of starvation, not just, but a site of starvation and isolation, dehydration, because much of the physical violence was in the south. But the Israeli military has decided that once again they needed to intervene in the north, that Hamas was aggressively restaking its position in the north. And so we saw a spike in violence there. At the same time that Benjamin Netanyahu has been committed, expressly and unabashedly committed, to a ground invasion in the south. They've taken over the border. They've taken over much of the security apparatus at the Rafah border. They have invaded the town. There's no uncertainty about what Israel's intentions are in the south, and it isn't to get rid of Hamas. They want to fight Hamas, and they'd love to get rid of Hamas, but that ain't the goal. That's not the end game, because if that were the end game, there'd be no mission, because Hamas can't be defeated that way. This is a deeper issue around ethnic cleansing. This is a deeper issue around depopulation. And this is something that we have to be honest about. This is something that we have to keep track of. But let's keep going. The Israeli military says that its Nahal brigade joined a division of troops surrounding Rafah as it plans to attack terror targets deep in the city. They also added that it will prevent, quote, harm to the civilian population as much as possible. So two things there. Terror targets is incredibly vague. It's very non-specific. It's very imprecise. And Israel's argument that they are going to do as little harm to the civilian population as possible would be encouraging, except for two reasons. One, they keep killing civilians. And two, they have a very warped idea of what constitutes a civilian. Let me be more clear. Let me be more specific. Part of how Israel is able to advance its narrative that they are the most moral army and that this is the most efficient and effective military operation in modern history is because the Israeli military continues to basically call anybody they want a terrorist and anybody they want a civilian. And when it comes to Palestinians, they don't call too many people civilians. They certainly don't call too many men above the age of, or boys even above the age of 14, 15, 16 civilians. So yeah, if I shoot up a school, if I blow up a school as a soldier, right? And I say, well, yeah, but they were all trained by Hamas. They go to Hamas school, right? Because it's an UNRWA school, and UNRWA is controlled by Hamas, and they were trained in Hamas tactics. So they're really Hamas fighters. These aren't civilians. These are Hamas soldiers. You see what I'm saying? You see how the game goes? So then when they blow up a high school, or they blow up a college or university, especially a university, and to be clear, every university in Gaza has been destroyed. Every single university in Gaza has been destroyed. So when you do that, you could say, hey, they killed a bunch of students, or they could say they killed a bunch of terrorists. And what the Israeli military has said is that those were terrorists. And that's how they're able to keep their numbers clean. Adrian said, what do they say about the infants still hooked to tubes in the NICU? I mean, we've certainly seen babies die in the NICU. They tend just not to talk about it, but to the extent that they do, they blame Hamas. They say Hamas was hiding in the hospital. We had to stop the terror targets. They had the opportunity to evacuate. They chose not to leave. They chose not to evacuate the babies. And so Hamas killed those babies. Remember, that's one of the adages, right, of the Israeli leadership is, we could forgive them for killing our children, but we could never forgive them from making us kill their children. Again, it's part of two dominant narrative strains that have shaped Israelis' self-image as a military. That is purity of arms and restraint. Again, restraint and purity of arms have been two of the dominant narratives in the Israeli military's actions for decades now. So they act as if they have restraint, and that they're constantly disciplined and don't shoot back when they could, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then purity of arms, this idea that they only do it when they have to, and that it's almost always in self-defense. This is the dominant narrative. It is a weird one. It's untrue, but that's what they say. Anyway, I hope that clarifies things up. I'm trying to answer some questions as we go for this report, because I know there are a lot of questions about Israel and questions about what's going on in the Gaza Strip. The UN says displaced families living among the rubble quote unquote, after more than 800,000 Palestinians flee Rafah as Israeli forces attack is the current demographic scenario. Let me say that differently. 800,000 people have left Rafah. Background. Rafah is the southernmost city in Gaza. It normally has 250,000 people. Because of all the attacks and all the people being forced to flee, that number went from 250,000 to as high as 1.5 million 2 weeks ago. Imagine 1.5 million people living in a place designed for 250. And now 800,000 of that 1.5 have left, which means Rafah is still way more dense than it should be, because you still got 700,000, you have 300,000, 3 times as many people as you should. But also, where do 800,000 people go when suddenly they're being barraged by weapons? It's terrifying. Anyway, let's move on. Israeli officials react with outrage after Spain, Ireland, and Norway announced their recognition of the state of Palestine, promising to continue the attack on Gaza and build new illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank. So I talked about this in Night School. So if you didn't watch Night School tonight, please make sure you go and check it out. It was the second story of the night. The leaders of Spain, Ireland, and Norway have announced that they're recognizing the state of Palestine. Other countries like Serbia, or was it Slovenia? I was thinking, I know Malta and maybe Slovenia also said that they're coming soon. France said it's not their time to do it yet, but they don't think it's, quote, taboo to do. So we're beginning to see a push from nations around the world, and including European nations, standing with Palestinians, at least to the extent that they're recognizing Palestine as a state. Israel has basically threatened those people. They're talking about calling the envoys in. They're talking about, that this is nothing but a reward for extremism, all of the things. But Israel can't do much right now because they're being increasingly isolated for their actions in Gaza. And anyone who behaves the way Israel is behaving in Gaza should be isolated. And we're beginning to see a response. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin spoke with Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and underscored the, quote, urgent need to increase humanitarian assistance to Gaza across all available crossings, according to a readout from the Pentagon. This is a big deal. Austin encouraged the Israeli government to conclude talks with Egypt to reopen the Rafah crossing, and resume the flow of aid from Egypt through Kedem Shalom. Kedem Shalom is what we call Kedem Abu Saddam border crossing. But Israel is big mad about that. We talked about the Israeli raid on Jenin the other day. Israeli soldiers have fired live rounds at an Al Jazeera crew near a hotel in Jenin, as one of my colleagues on Al Jazeera was preparing to go live. One hotel member was wounded. The Israeli soldiers surrounded the hotel and withdrew after bulldozing the main entrance and security room. This is wild. My colleagues at Al Jazeera Arabic are reporting that the death toll from an Israeli attack on the Fatima al-Zahra mosque, which is in northern Gaza City, has risen from 10 to 16. And the saddest part, and this is breaking news, y'all, it was just 30 minutes ago, 10 of the 16 victims were children. So, again, the most moral army in the world finds ways to continue to kill children, continue to kill innocent people. It's devastating and sad. Anyway, that is the War on Gaza update for today. Be sure to check this out every single day at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. Also, check out Night School every night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Again, we're 9 p.m. Eastern every single night for deep conversation and careful analysis. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to Rosability for this donation and for the note. I'll be sure to check it out. These scheduling glitches are very weird, and we're going to make sure we get to the bottom of them. D. Marie, thank you for contributing to the hustle fund. I appreciate you. Robin Walker Murphy stepped her membership game up, and we love it. And we appreciate you for it. Andrew Darby, once again, welcome. ML McKinney, once again, welcome. Everybody, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please hit the join button if you can. If you haven't seen anything else, please watch our content, share it, spread the word about it. If you can, let the YouTube algorithms know that you rock with us by hitting the like button. We appreciate it. If you can hit the subscribe button, please do so. It lets expands our network and it allows you to get up-to-the-minute updates about the work that we're doing. And of course, if you're so inclined, hit the join button and become a monthly subscriber to the channel. As a monthly subscriber to the channel, you allow us to strengthen our platform, to get a stronger foothold, and to expand our programming, to pay our bills, and do everything that we can do to keep you up to date with alternative, independent media, which we appreciate. Also, finally, if you're so inclined, but don't want to make a monthly commitment, we have Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, and PayPal, which you can use to support us. Again, everybody ain't got money. I understand that, and I'm totally grateful for all of you. If you don't have money and you just hit the like button, you just hit the subscribe button, you just hit the the share button and share our content, because that's what's going to get the word out about Night School, about the War on Gaza report, about everything else that's going on the channel. But if you do want to make a one-time commitment, you don't want to join the channel, or you can't join the channel, but you want to do a one-time commitment, you can go to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. You see the platforms right there. And if everybody watching right now were to just make a one-time donation of $4, we'd be able to meet our goals for the next through the end of this week, and that would make us so grateful. Again, if you can't, we understand. The most important thing is that you watch and share the content. That's the most important thing. On that note, I want to thank you, Twin, for joining us. I want to thank you, Twin, for making a contribution. We appreciate that as well. Yo, that was so generous of you. And I appreciate your kind words. I'm trying to be dependable. I'm trying to keep this platform going. Again, this platform moves without any support from donors. It moves without any corporate attachment. This channel goes simply from my pocket to you. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to do that. I don't take it for granted. I don't regret it, but I could use your support. We all could use your support. So please, if you're so inclined and you have the resources, please support us here on the channel. And other than that, we'll see you soon. Tomorrow is another episode of Night School at 9 p.m. Eastern right here on the channel. And in addition to Night School, we also have a War on Gaza report tomorrow at 10:15, and office hours throughout the week, including a very special office hours this weekend at 7 o'clock, where we'll be joined by the great Abdurrahman Muhammad, who is one of the creators and the principal historian behind Who Killed Malcolm X, for a very long, interesting, and complex conversation about the legacy of Malcolm X. I hear people asking for office hours. I am happy to do an office hours. We'll get started right at 11 o'clock for an episode of Office Hours, where I'll take your live questions and answers. We can have some conversation and we can build. Until then, I'll see y'all later. Peace.